and welcome. Today we have LaWanda Israel Esquire joining us for the three questions with a strategic focus. Welcome, LaWanda.
Thank you. It's good to see you, Douglas. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I am doing wonderfully. I'm
That's
excited to be talking to you.
so am I. Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot in the entrepreneurship issues for a lot of people is what do they wish they really knew prior to starting to become an entrepreneur? So I would like for you to take a stab at that. What were some of the things that you really wish you knew before you started?
I think I've heard people say that you are always working. When you work for yourself, you are always
Mm-hmm.
working. And I decided to become an entrepreneur to have more time and to have more control over my time. And I do. I definitely have more control over my time, but it is true. You really are always working. So I wish I had conversations with people about better ways to manage my time and not always be on the clock in some form of fashion, even if it's just thinking about a project. I mean, you are constantly engaged in deep thought, right, about strategy, what you should do next, what doesn't need to be done, and you can't quite turn it off as opposed to at a 9 to 5. Once I left the office, for the most part, in unless there were rare circumstances, I was then on my time.
Right.
So I wish I'd known that.
So for you, some words of time management and just being able just to shut it off because you always see the laptop open, you see your phone, you can say, I can talk to someone, things of that nature. That's something that always brings up for you.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And, something else that I have challenges with being an entrepreneur is I have so many different kinds of clients and so many different
Could you give us a brief idea about what type of clients you have?
Well, I have nonprofit organizations. I have libraries, churches, a mental health clinic, and then I do work for a law firm that primarily focuses on education law. Very, very different things.
Mm-hmm.
I may be called upon to do a training on sexual harassment, on the prevention of sexual harassment. I could be also working on a legal motion that pertains to a tax issue. And, today I'm the director of a young entrepreneurship training program. We started today, and it was just, all of the realities of the first day of anything. But, but I still have to take care of some things for other clients, right? So it's not just being the director of a program for a nonprofit agency, but it's also for-profit work.
Right.
New things that emerge that I just been informed of today that have to be addressed as well. So it's having so many different kinds of things to work on all in one day. Whereas when I was in a law firm, for the most part, I would touch one or two or three or maybe even 4 files, but it was all the same kind of law.
Right.
So you're in a particular mindset and you can just churn the work out differently than when you have your hands on so many different projects and so many different types of projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the shifting too that brings challenges.
Well, given the number of projects that you have, what is your secret to time management?
Prioritize. Prioritize. So obviously you make sure that you are ahead of your deadlines, right? You make sure that you're ahead of your deadlines and so you handle deadlines. And then I would say I use the term ripe. So I have some cases in the legal world, I have some cases that are ripe. They're ready to settle. They are ready to go to trial, or they are ready for me to commence a lawsuit. It depends. It depends on the stage of a particular situation. And so if I have something that I can resolve and get off of my desk, so to speak, my mental desk and my physical desk, after I make sure that I'm in compliance with any deadlines or anything of that nature, I will handle those matters. So it's just how I prioritize everything.
Okay. So what are the three most important attributes to your success?
I am bivocational. I am a lawyer and I'm also a minister. And I think what makes me different than other people is that I genuinely care. And I know this sounds sacrilegious in, this capitalistic society, but I was having a conversation with a friend just last week and he said, LaWanda, he was telling me about his financial goals. And I do have financial goals. But he was like, LaWanda, you're just grinding to be able to spend time with your family. You're not necessarily grinding to amass a whole bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say that it's not true, but I don't think I'm driven by money like other people are. And because that is the case, I really want to see people get justice. I don't like when people are mistreated. I do not like when people, are oppressed or disenfranchised. And so I am going to do everything I can to advocate on behalf of the disenfranchised because I really care. There's a scripture that says, what would it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? And so I care about people. I care about how people feel. So I'm the kind of attorney that even if I'm busy, even if I do not have an update on your case, I'm going to return your call within a day, within the day you call, or within a day, just because I care. You know what I mean? I care about how you feel.
But I thought that was more, customer service. In addition to that.
Okay. I mean, you could call it customer service, but everyone doesn't do that.
That's
I'm
true.
sure you know of attorneys who take a month to return your call.
No, I don't. They're fired.
No?
They're fired.
Okay.
Well, I understand that, yeah. So in addition to caring, what else would you say is an attribute for your success?
So, and also I, because I care about people, because I believe that you have to function and operate with integrity, I'm really going to do the best job that I can do. I mean, you're going to get the best that I have to offer, and I was raised under the mantra of W.B. Du Bois, right? We're the talented 10th. We have to be the best. We have to do our best. And I bring that to everything that I do. Excellence is important to me, whether it's obtainable, whether it's, it's crushing us under the weight of this capitalist society. That's just how I was trained. And I can remember, I might have been, when I was in the 5th grade, maybe it was the 8th grade. Maybe it was the 8th grade. And I was the salutatorian. My best friend was the valedictorian, and I was a salutatorian for the class. And I was working on my speech. So I wrote my speech, and my parents were very demanding on me, especially, academically, and, how I treated people. They were very demanding on me. So I was working on my speech, and my mother read my speech, and she said, I don't really like the way this sounds. I said, Mom, I'm tired. I've had enough. And she said, if you're not going to do your best, don't even bother. And it has stayed with me. It has stayed with me. So I want to do my best. And it's funny because I'm a litigator, and most litigators want to win.
True.
They just want to beat the other person. They just want to beat their adversary. I just want the best outcome for my client. I'm serious. I really do. And the only time I seek to crush an opponent is if they get out of line. I'm a true Taurus. I am very cool, calm, and collected. Unless you take me there. And if you do something inappropriate, now you're going to see the other side of me. But otherwise, I just want the best result for my client. That's it. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm not trying to humiliate anyone or denigrate anyone. I just want the best result for my client. And I had a case a while ago, and I knew the attorney. I knew him from something else, he had done for a family member, but I knew him. And I was really trying. I was trying to get the best outcome for my client. And he decided to file a motion for summary judgment. He was just basically telling the court, they don't have any adequate defense. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? And because I was trying, Douglas, I was trying to work with him and, within the confines of my client's demands. And I went in. Oh my goodness, I went in.
You brought everything with you, huh?
To call me. He had the nerve to call me and say, LaWanda, I have never, ever been treated that way in legal papers ever in my life. Let me get this straight. You're gonna serve papers and lie on me and then get mad when I tell the truth about you? I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, but he made me go there. He made me go there. So, needless to say, my client was very happy with the outcome of that case. Mm-hmm. And, but that's just an example. That's just an example of how I operate. Mm-hmm. And what I think makes me great.
So, like I said, you talk about, your efforts that you put forth, always putting forth your best effort. What else do you have that, would you consider one of your better attributes? So, final thought.
I have really great training.
Mm-hmm.
I have really great training. I have gone to some phenomenal schools. I have worked with brilliant attorneys who have trained me. And I think I have a really strong legal foundation. So you also are going to get someone with the technical skills mm-hmm. needed to ensure a great outcome for clients. Mm-hmm. So I think that's another attribute as well. I have to give credit. I have to give credit to the people who trained me and who poured a lot into me in the early years, because I'm still reaping the benefits of that.
Mm-hmm. So you are true adherent to Du Bois's talent and intent, meaning that you definitely do stand on the shoulders of others. With all of your legal training, your experiences, the way you help people with your nonprofits, that, as a minister and as an attorney, advocating for those who are, in some cases, disenfranchised. What would be the last thought that you would like to give our audience, in terms of what does it really mean to be a success?
I think success is something really personal.
Okay.
And your definition of success is based on your values. And I know that I mentioned my friend earlier who talked about financial goals. And I think that's important, right? That you have financial goals or whatever is in accordance with your particular beliefs or principles. But for me, I think it's important to really believe in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And we don't necessarily talk about that. A lot of times we do what we are supposed to do. We do what we need to do, and not necessarily those things that feed our souls. We don't necessarily do the things that feed our souls. We may not even know what those things are. Those of us who have spent a lot of time in corporate America, or we've spent a lot of time in certain institutions that didn't necessarily ask us who we wanted to be, but told us what the expectations were, and we followed. And mm-hmm. So here we are years later. I mean, it's very, very difficult for me to leave the firm on Wall Street. That was very, very difficult. And go to seminary school, mm-hmm. right?
But they seem to be in conflict with each other at times.
It was not easy. I mean, that took years to make that decision. It took years. I looked at applications to seminary school for years. and just stayed, stayed at jobs and went to new jobs, right, to make more money and acquired more assets and did all that stuff. And I just got to a place where I said, this is not feeding you. Mm-hmm. And the one thing in life that we don't get back is our time, right?
That's true.
You grow your hair, right? You grow your hair, you cut your hair, you put a wig on, right? You gain weight, you lose weight, you make money, you lose money, you go into relationships, you get out of relationships, you get back into, but nope, I'm not going to be 25 again.
Well, it was last week, so you're all right.
So I came to the reality, and I'll even share this. As an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur who steps into not necessarily a 9-to-5 work situation, but a lot of times I'll take on projects, and last year my children were older. They were getting on a bus to school, and instead of me driving them to school, and I said, you know what, LaWanda, go back to a firm, do the regular thing. Everybody kept saying, are you going to go back to a firm? Are you going to go back to a firm? And I went back. I don't know if you remember this.
Yes, I do.
I went back.
Great
back 9 to 5, billable hours, people looking over my work, right? People assessing whether or not my writing meet their standards or not, and go here now, go to the Bronx today, go to Manhattan tomorrow. I went back to that life and lasted a month. I couldn't take it. And you know why? Because it was my time. I was like, do I really want to spend my time doing this? And the answer was no. Mm-hmm. The answer was no. So my parting words, what drives you? What inspires you? What brings you joy? Who told us that the only way to make money was to be miserable, and to engage in drudgery? You can be happy and make a successful living, that allows you to do the things that you want to do, not just the things that you need to provide for yourself or your family, but the things that you want. But I think we have to be honest, and that may take soul searching, it may take meditation, it may take prayer, it may take journaling. I don't know. I think we have to be honest with ourselves about who we are and what is to be our contribution to the world.
Our contribution to the world. That's a great way of ending the conversation, because that's one of the things we are always trying to better ourselves with in terms of developing this world to make it a better place than where we left it from. Well, LaWanda, I greatly appreciate you joining me for our 3 questions conversation, and I look forward to hearing more success from you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.